is important as we bring it to the table, as we bring it to the country, as we bring it to the community. Learn to appreciate that. Each of us need all of us. Now here's the last one on attitude. It's how you feel about yourself. Nothing more powerful than self-confidence to start multiplying your income by 2, by 3, by 5, by 10. And where does that come from? Make the note. It comes from self-esteem. Doing the things you know you should do, and at the end of this day, your self-esteem is soaring and high. You've met the people you said you'd meet. You made the calls you said you would make. You did the things that you required of yourself to do. And at the end of the day, you feel great about yourself. That is one of the greatest motivating factors for the future, self-esteem, feeling good about yourself. Now let me give you the miracle piece of this formula. If you're ready, say, I'm ready. Here it is. Number 3 is activity. We're affected by what we do. Now we've gotten to the formula of how to turn ideas into reality, how to turn imagination into substance. It's called number 3, activity. So add these notes to it now. Activity is the work. Activity is the labor. You might add labor pains. I'm short on personal experience here, but the mothers in the room would tell us that we know what that's all about, labor pains. Why would an upcoming potential mother be willing to put herself through maybe a rather painful experience? She said, that's an easy answer, and it's for your notes. It produces new life. Why wouldn't she put herself to the labor? Now comes the miracle of new life. And whether it's new career life or new business life or new friendship life or new married life or new life of any kind, it has to come from the work. It comes from the labor. In fact, labor was so important. Here was the original formula for labor. If you have forgotten it, remind yourself. For your notes, 6 days of labor and what? 1 day of rest. Now, it's important not to get those numbers mixed up. Why is that? Here's why. Why not 5-2? I don't know, maybe 5 and 2 would be okay. If God would have thought of 5 and 2, he might have made it 5 and 2. Right? You can't think of everything when you're putting one of these together. But maybe one of the reasons for 6-1, jot this down now. If you rest too long, the weeds take the garden. Not to think so is naive. As soon as you've planted, the busy bugs and the noxious weeds are out to take it. So you can't linger too long in the rest mode. You've got to go back to work. 6 days of work, then rest and spirituality and friendship and change of pace. And then go back over the last 6 days. What did I do? What did I miss? Who did I miss? What happened? So that I can invest those corrections in the next 6 days of higher productivity. Have you got that now? 6 days of work, 1 day of rest. Don't get the numbers mixed up. Activity. Now, activity finishes the miracle. Good question for your notes. How did this convention center get here? Let me give you the steps. Number 1, somebody saw it while the property was vacant. You say, well, how could you see a convention center if it isn't here? It's the only way it will be here. And somebody has to see it so clearly they can draw a picture of it, saying, this is the convention center. You say, no, it isn't there. They say, yes, this is the convention center. The artist's rendering shows you a picture of what isn't there. That's the beginning of imagination. So to turn nothing into something, here's what you do. Imagine the possibilities. That's why we recommend testimonials for someone to say, hey, I started with pennies and I made a fortune. And when they finish, sometimes they say something like this, if I can do it, what? You can do it. And we start imagining the possibilities. Here's number 2, have faith to believe that some of them are possible for you. And both imagination and faith are powerful forces, but we still don't have a hotel. We still don't have a house. Even though those are powerful forces, it is the beginning. Now, imagination and faith must be deposited in activity or it is wasted. But the finishing touch of the miracle process is now go to work. Go to work and build a better career. Go to work and build good health. You can't have good health without the work. When did we start hearing that phrase? No pain, what? No gain. You got to do the work. You can read all the books until you're wise. You can have faith and believe until it is extraordinary. But now you must go to work. And if you'll learn to appreciate the work that produces the miracle of good health, the miracle of a career, the miracle of a relationship, the miracle of a fortune. Only humans now can do this. The birds of the field can't do it. No other life form can imagine and create something from nothing. Have faith and then build it and make it real. Only humans. It's an extraordinary gift. Depends on how often you use it. So number one of the ideas I wanted to share with you to make this an extraordinary opening year century for you is philosophy. We're affected by what we know. Second is attitude. We're affected by how we feel. Third is activity. We're affected by what we do. Now here's the final two pieces. Number four, learn to measure progress. Once you've set up a project now, you want to turn nothing into something, now you must measure your progress. How are you doing? Here's how we teach it to our children. Life expects us to make measurable progress in reasonable time. Measurable progress in reasonable time. That is the game of life. So part of it is not just to set up the proposed project, but as we start working on it, we start measuring how we're doing. Now first, what is reasonable time? You can't ask someone every 5 minutes, how are you doing now? See, that's too soon. Guy says, I haven't left the building yet. Give me a break. Now, we can't wait 5 years. That's too long. So there's reasonable time. So make this note now. What is reasonable time? One, at the end of the day. A conversation a father should have with his daughter today, because the magic is there. If he waits till tomorrow, the magic may be gone today. Next is a week. Make that note. Usually, we get paid by the week. Somebody adds up our value to the marketplace, out comes the check. The next week, somebody adds up our value to the marketplace, out comes the check. What I learned to do is to change my value to the marketplace so the check kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I didn't have to change the economy, I only had to change myself. Measure your own progress. Success is a numbers game. We demanded of our children, how many years do you want your child to spend in 4th grade? Approximately. About 1 year, right? You say, well, if they're nice kids, would you give them 3 or 4 years? You say, no. This is not a nice game. This is getting ready for the future. This is getting ready for the challenges and the opportunities. You can't linger in 1 grade more than 1 year. Now make this note. The same should go for us as adults. Don't linger more than 1 year in 1 grade of learning. Adult, management, entrepreneurship, leaderships of all kind. Keep up the pace of learning. Okay. The numbers. Measure. Count. Now here's the key. Face the truth. If you're only making this much progress, you know, there's no use trying to kid the world, no use trying to kid anybody else, and especially don't kid yourself. If in a period of time you've only made so much progress, you just got to swallow hard and say, this is the truth. I've got to face it. Now, what could I do to start increasing my progress and make my health better, make my income better, make my investments better, make my value to the marketplace much better, get busy learning the 2nd skill and the 3rd skill and the next language and the next language to increase my value. I got to get busy and do that. See, if you will do that, I promise you, one of the greatest motivating factors in the world is progress. And if you'll measure it, you'll get excited. Now here's number 5 of the 5 major things I wanted to share with you. to make these opening years of the 21st century really pay off for you. And here's the word, lifestyle. Learning to live well, because the ultimate essence of life is not a Ferrari. The ultimate essence is not a home. The ultimate essence is not a bank account. It's not $1 million. It's not a fortune. Here it is. The ultimate essence of life is learning to live a good life. That's the key. Whether you have modest resources or whether you have mega millions, either way, the real key is learning to live a good life. And so in my closing 5 minutes, let me give you what I think is a good list. Now, this is the short list. In other presentations, I cover a longer list, but this is called Jim Rohn's short list for living the good life. Here it is. Number 1, productivity. You really won't be that happy if you don't produce. And here's the next bit of advice on that. Produce to the max if you possibly can. To produce a little is okay. To produce enough is okay. To produce some to get by is all right. But why not try productivity to the max? Andrew Carnegie, who built the steel industry back in the 30s, here's what Andrew said. I'm going to spend the first half of my life accumulating money. I'm going to spend the last half of my life giving it all away. He got so inspired by that goal that the first half of his life he accumulated $400 million, which back in the 30s was a lot of money. A mega fortune. Guess what he did the last half of his life? He gave it all away. I got a good question for you as we close. Here's the question. What's got you turned on? What's got you up early? What's got you eager to face the day? What's got you inspired to learn the extra skill, put in the extra time, go the extra mile, learn how to work with people, guarantee your future? Good question. Here's number 2, good friends. You got to have good friends. The best support system in the world is good friends. Collect and nourish those as priceless. Good friends are those wonderful people who know all about you and still like you. Those are good friends. Here's number 3, your heritage. What's made America so unique among all the nations of the world and the greatest experiment in the history of the world? And that is the depository of gifts that have come to America over the last 300 or 400 years. The heritage from all walks of life, all over the world. Now, the key to keeping America vital and powerful and unique for generations to come is to keep alive these heritages. The music, the dance, the costume, the customs, the literature, the poetry, and all the rest combined together, making us an extraordinary, unusual nation among nations. Keep your heritage alive. Here's number 4, your spirituality. Whatever you believe in terms of spirituality, that's important. And I've got 3 words for you to consider. Here they are. Study, practice, and teach. Whatever you believe in terms of spirituality, study, practice, and teach. Don't leave your spirituality unstudied, don't leave it unpracticed, and don't leave it untaught. It's one of the major components of a good life. And now to close for your notes. Take special care of the inner circle. Family, close friends. Nourish them, they will nourish you. Inspire them, they will inspire you. And take care of the details, the little things that makes it special for family and friends. When my father was still alive after my mother died, my father lived about another 7, 8 years. When I used to travel, I would try to call him while he was having breakfast with the farmers, Southwest Idaho. Make a special day. If I'm in Israel, I got to get up in the middle of the night, but I call in the middle of the night, Papa, I'm in Israel.